So if you have fraction kits, you can go ahead and use the fraction kits. If you don't, you can do it without the fraction kits. So I can show a 1/2 fraction, and that same 1/2 fraction can be shown in different ways. Okay, so I can do this into groups of 2, and I can show that I can do 1 to 2 as a ratio as equivalent to 2 out of 4. Okay, and I just do each part into groups of 2. I can do that same 1/2 fraction, and I can do it in groups of 3. Now, groups of 3 is a little bit harder to draw, okay, but we can do it in groups of 3. So in groups of 3, we can show that we have 3 parts, okay, and then 6 parts whole. So we can do this into groups of 4 as well. So again, we can do our 1/2, and I can do each half part into groups of 4, and then that gives me, well, I should do a little bit better picture than that. Okay, it's going to give me groups of 4, okay, and I can shade in half by shading in 4 parts out of 8 parts whole. Okay, so there is our 1/2 fraction as equivalent fraction. Okay, so the 1/3 fraction, we can start with the original 1/3. Okay, and we can do this in groups of 2. So that 1/3 fraction now is done all the 3 pieces. Okay, you can't see that third piece, there it is. We could do that in groups of 2, and we can make this into 2 parts out of 6 parts whole. We can do that same thing. Okay, we can do it in groups of 3. You're just going to do groups of 2 because it's actually easier for me to draw. I'm just going to do it in groups of 4. So I'm going to have my 2/3 is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think I might have messed up this one. Okay, let's try that again. Okay, so I'm going to do groups of, here's my original 2/3 fraction, or 1/3 fraction, sorry. And I'm going to do groups of 4. Okay, and then I'm going to have 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 out of 12 is also going to give me the same as a 1/3 fraction. Okay, and then finally here I have got a 1/4 fraction. Again, if you want to draw in the 1/4, okay, I can do these pieces into groups of 2. So I end up with 2 parts shaded out of 8 parts whole. That's equivalent to 1/4. Okay, and I can do this into the 1/4 parts. I can do this in groups of 3. I can do it like that. So groups of 3, I can show that the 1/4 part is now in a group of 3, and the 4 parts whole now is in a group of 12. Okay, so we have 3 out of 12 is same as 2 out of 8, which is same as 1 out of 4. So we can show these groupings like this, and again, it's important to understand and recognize that we can go from 1/4 to 2/5 with this times 2 times 2. And again, that times 2 represents doing it in groups of 2 of the parts, groups of 2 of the whole. Here we can get the 3/4 by starting with a 1/4 and doing times 3 times 3, or groups of 3 for the parts, groups of 3 for the whole. And we end up with our equivalent fraction. So it's important to start on recognizing these multiplying factors and how they affect ratios and proportions, because we're going to look into this a lot this year.